A product of their own success, the San Francisco 49ers have landed themselves in a bit of a pickle between all of this amazing player development and injuries. I'm going to get into that today in just a second, and I'm hoping that you guys will comment and let me know what you guys think about how the 49ers should solve this problem. But if you're new here, I'm Nate, and I love talking the 49ers, and I do really appreciate if you would hit that like button and subscribe and join the conversation. But the headline kind of comes from Kyle Madsen from Niners Wire in a way, and he brings up a problem that we've talked a little bit about, but he kind of has a very interesting solution to the problem that I want to talk about and get your take on. But the problem's pretty straightforward. Jordan Mason is currently on pace to have 387 touches this season. I would actually say it's probably going to be more than that in certain ways if he continues to develop and Brock Purdy gets more comfortable throwing the ball to him. He's going to end up getting even more touches. But the current pacing would suggest 387 touches, which is a mountain of touches. If he starts catching the ball 4 times a game, that completely changes everything, right? So I'm thinking this is a real problem. I'm seeing this article from Kyle Madsen, and I'm like, hey, this is a great point. You're absolutely right. We need to talk about this. In the event, and I'm hoping, I got to find some wood to knock on here, but in the event that Christian McCaffrey is not playing this season, which is possible, I don't think it's going to happen that way. I kind of see him coming in like everyone's kind of anticipating right now in mid-November, and I see him kind of working his way in and probably limiting his touches, which would be healthy for him anyways, and kind of just seeing where it goes in the process, right? But knowing, what we talked about yesterday in yesterday's video, the likelihood of him having an Achilles tear is relatively low related to his current issue. Obviously, not being able to see the MRI imaging, we won't really know anything. But based on what doctors are saying, that's kind of what you think. Now, the solution to the problem would be really easy, is you share touches, split touches, not split 50-50, but split some of your touches with Isaac Guerendo, who's your next man up. The problem with Isaac Guerendo is there's nothing to suggest that the 49ers actually trust Isaac Guerendo at all. He in week 2, he gets his first touch, runs the ball one time. People are really critical about him missing the obvious gap, and that's completely fair. We're fans. We can all be critical. We can say whatever we want. I would just say that, when the guy only has one touch, it's not really fair to make a full assessment on how he's going to be as a running back. So I just wouldn't jump from that one criticism to then this guy's not going to be able to run on this football team, right? The following week, no Deebo, he runs the ball 5 times, which is exactly what I anticipated, and just lines up that, Kyle Shanahan doesn't like to give RB2s a ton of reps. That's just not the way he does things. Now, with that situation, and Isaac Guerendo gets five snaps, does okay, does a decent job, has one of them for like 12 yards, I want to say, was like kind of his best run. But overall, he had a moment that he could have really exploded. If I think it was Aaron Banks gets his assignment right, then he could be off to the races, and who knows if he splits the safeties because they were too high. Anyway, the point is Isaac Guerendo did okay, but clearly not enough, because then last week against the Patriots, Isaac Guerendo goes out there, he gets 1 carry, and he gets 1 return. And on his return, what happens? He fumbles the ball running into his own player, and what's that going to do for your old school running back coach, like old school, and your head coach, who already seems to have a little bit of a trust problem with the RB2 position in general. So we have no Elijah Mitchell, obviously no Christian McCaffrey. So you're looking at Jordan Mason, who's your number 1 guy, who you're going to give 99% of the snaps to because you don't trust your RB2. Now, Kyle Madsen had a very interesting point. And I need to also mention Deebo. We got to talk about Deebo too before I get to Kyle Madsen's point. On the Deebo side of things, this is a very interesting part of the problem that needs to be discussed. I don't think we want Deebo taking more than 5 or 6 snaps out of the backfield in any given football game. Like, I don't want to, personally, I don't want to see Deebo in the backfield. I want to see him with a better longevity, and I don't want to see every single time. I feel like Brian Baldinger just said this weekend and this week, and I was like, you are 100% on. Every single time that Deebo runs the ball, it feels like he takes a big hit. Like it feels like he's taking a pounding every time he runs the ball. And I don't think that's 100% on Deebo, but I mean, that is also just part of the way he runs the ball. He's a bit of a power runner, and he's used to a little bit of open space and turning that into incredible yards after the catch. But in the backfield, it's just a little bit of a different game. Now, he can run the ball. I just don't think that that's what we want as 49ers fans. I don't want to see Deebo back there all the time. That's just not what I want to see. I would rather see him out doing incredible route running. I'd rather see him out there using that yards after catch to do something special in the opposing team's secondary. That's just my opinion. Now, you feel different in the comments, let me know. That's fine. Let me know. I'm happy to hear that. Kyle Madsen suggests that the 49ers might consider moving to more 11 personnel. So drop out, in this situation, that would be drop out your fullback probably, your Kyle Juszczyk, who's in 48% of the time he's on the field, 48% of the snaps on offense. And basically by dropping him out, you go into more of a 3 wide receiver set, and you have Juwan Jennings, you have Deebo Samuel, you have Brandon Aiyuk, you have 3 incredible wide receivers, and you have a quarterback that's connected with all 3 of them. Brandon Aiyuk, I guess you could say historically, he's connected with them really, really well last season. He's going to be able to connect with them well this season. It's going to be fine. I think the take is a good one. A good one in the sense that I think it does really solve the problem, that you could maybe just not run the ball as much. The only issue I kind of see with that is I don't think Kyle Shanahan's ever going to do that. I shouldn't say ever. I don't see Kyle Shanahan doing that this season. I don't see him aiming for that anytime soon. I think Kyle Shanahan's going to bank on Christian McCaffrey coming in, and he's not going to worry about limiting reps too much for Jordan Mason, because as long as he's feeling healthy, he's just going to run him hard. And I think we're going to see what happens with Christian McCaffrey, and we may regret those decisions down the line. That's what I think is going to happen. Is the idea in theory a good one? Yes. I just think that the run game is such a big part of what Kyle Shanahan likes to do. And when you do that, I run out of 21 and I throw out of 11, which is not what Kyle Madsen's saying. I don't want to throw words in his mouth that he did not say. But I think that's kind of what happens there, is anytime you're in a 3 wide receiver set, you think, oh, well, this is what they're going to do. And so I like the 21 personnel. I like the intent, the high majority of time that we spend in that package. That's just my personal take. I would love to know what yours is. Let me know in the comments. I look forward to joining you there. I got to get back to work now, but it was fantastic. It will be fantastic. I'm like, it's fantastic sitting in a car talking to you. It will be fantastic when we can engage in the comments. I've been enjoying talking with you guys lately and going over all of the latest and greatest around the 49ers. So make sure you're subscribed and join in the conversation below. I look forward to joining you there. As always, what a time to be alive.